Welcome back. In our last episode, we explored advanced array methods like map, filter, and reduce. Today, we're diving into a key concept in programming, objects. These objects are a little bit different from Java objects because JavaScript and Java are very different. So if you come from like a Java or C# background, it's not really the same thing. So just know that it's a bit different from what you're used to if you come from any of those languages. So let's begin. In TypeScript, an object is a way of organizing related data in a structured form. While arrays are great for lists, objects allow us to represent more complex data. For example, if we are building a user profile, we can represent it as an object with properties for things like name, age, email, and even an address. So creating an object in TypeScript is pretty simple. We define properties with names and values, which can be numbers, strings, booleans, even other objects or arrays, like we did here. This is the key, this is the value, here it's a string, this is the key, this is the value, here it's a number, and here it's even another object, and we can also add like arrays if we wanted to. This is called a nested object. Now that we have an object, let's learn how to access its properties. We use the dot notation to get the value of a property, like we do here. Here we have printed the whole thing, and here we are just accessing the name. See what it does here? Here it prints out the whole user profile, and here it prints only the name John Doe, because we've used the dot notation. That's the dot right here, and we have accessed the name, which is right here, John Doe. That's actually how you do it. It's not really that hard. Now, what if we want to change the age, for example? I put that on the wrong line. Let's say we want to update our age from 25 to 26. We use the same dot notation, but we don't just read it, we write to it. We use user profile dot age equals 26, and that's how we modify the new age. Now let's run it again and go over that. And node index.js. That's, by the way, how you run two commands at the same time in your console. So what we've done here is we have printed the user profile, and here you see the age is 25. Now we have updated the age to 26, and then we've read it using our dot operator. It's 26. So we've changed it. That is how you access and change object properties. Pretty simple, right? Also pretty straightforward. Now, we have other things in TypeScript as well. In another chapter, we're going to go over interfaces, but for now, just know that you cannot, in JavaScript, what you can do if you want to add something to a user profile. So here we have user profile. Maybe we want is subscribed, right? We want to add another property. True, and it should infer that it's a boolean, but it's not possible in TypeScript. TypeScript immediately makes an interface or a type out of this. It infers that from what you type here. So basically it says here that it immediately makes this interface where name is a string, age is a number, email is a string, address is a nested object with all of these properties in there. That's basically what it does for you, so you can't mess it up later and add properties or other stuff which will mess up your code. Just know that in JavaScript you can do that, and you can also delete properties at random. In TypeScript you need to create a whole new object and store everything in that new object. So that's a bit different from what you're used to in JavaScript. So here I have actually typed it out. So I've called this a typed user profile. This is it implicitly, because if we try to, add something in there, is subbed, is true. You see it says property is sub, does not exist on type, and then the whole thing that we have typed here, right? Now, let's say, for instance, we want to make something not required. Because we have typed it like this, everything here is required. You always have to put in a name. You always have to put in an age. Now let's say we don't want that, so we just do this. Now here in this user profile, we have made age not required, so we can just leave it blank here, or undefined. Yeah. So we can just leave it blank there with undefined. Just know that that is how you introduce optional object properties in TypeScript. Now, if I remove this, it will complain and will say type undefined is not assignable to type number. But we can also do, it's basically the same thing because the question mark here does it. But if you want to add more values than just undefined, we can do undefined. So that's still good, right? But now if we add in null here, you see it will complain. Now, if we also want to be able to put null in there, we have to add it to the list of values it will contain. And then it won't complain anymore because we've specified all of the data types that we can put in here. Now, don't do stuff like this because that will just ruin your types. Like, why would you do this? Like, there's no way where you would need this. But it's possible. Just know that it's possible, but only use it for this or the rare occasion that you'll need it. But I really hope you won't need it because it will just break your mind and your code really fast. Also, if you want to put anything in there, we have the ugliest type in TypeScript, but it's useful sometimes. We can just remove all of this and just put in any. And now it also doesn't complain. You can put undefined there. You can put a string in there. You can put true in there. Whatever. It's any, right? Oh, that's Python. That's TypeScript. So just know that when you change it to anything, it's possible, but we don't want that. We just want it to be a number, but the number can also not be there. So that's what that is. Now, if we want to actually print all the keys in here, right? Let's say we want to print all the keys in our object. We have the user profile, and we can loop over that with this syntax. It uses the in operator. For let key in user profile. So for every key in the user profile, we're going to print it. So let's run that real quick. Now see what it did here? It printed the whole thing. Username equals John Doe, update age equals 26, name equals John Doe, age 26. Oh wait, it starts here. I'm sorry. It starts here. And that is the nested object in there, which it equals. So that's how you print or go and loop over every single key in a object. And this is the way you're actually accessing all of the values that are in that specific key. So just know that user profile key will result in the value that it corresponds with. So just imagine that we are typing user profile.age, right? It's just another syntax for user profile age. That is that. This works though. Like, just know that that works. And if we run it and save it, I'll have to console log that, of course. Just know that that also works. All right. So now that we've covered all of that and the basics of objects in TypeScript, let's go over the exercises real quick. We have a couple here. They're not really that hard. First one is create a new object called book with properties title, author, year published, and is available as its properties. Then we have a couple others. I'll just go over them real quick. Edit the object with a nested object called chapters, access title on the object, and print the nested object. We have created a new object here, book, with all the properties that it should contain. Now we're going over to the next one. Edit the object with a nested object called chapters. Doesn't really matter what you put in there. It's just about the exercise that you know what a nested object is. And I've just put in one and then like the name of the chapter or whatever it is. So now for the next one, access the title on the object. You can do either. Just know that the exercise is formulated in a way that you'll be able to access a property. So we use that with the dot notation here. That's how we access the title. Then print the nested object. Console.log book edited.chapters. So now let's run it. Book title, TypeScript for beginners. Here we have printed the whole or the nested object, and here we've printed the whole thing. If you were able to complete these exercises, well done. Objects are essential to structuring data in TypeScript and many other programming languages. Today, we've learned about creating, modifying, and working with objects in TypeScript. Objects allow us to organize and represent complex data, which is vital for real-world applications. In our next episode, we'll dive into object methods and the this keyword, which allows objects to do even more. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell button for more content.